Greetings, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Future Talks. And today we have some amazing teacher leaders from the Anaheim Union High School District. Again, I am your host, Michael Matsuda, the superintendent of the Anaheim Union High School District, but we have Taylor Thorne, Bill Johnson, and Ray Solorzano. So would you like to quickly introduce yourselves, starting with Taylor?
Yes, hello everyone. As you said, my name is Taylor Thorne. I am a proud teacher at the AUHSD, specifically at Magnolia High School, where I teach English within our cybersecurity career pathway. And I also get to teach theater arts to a variety of students. And this year, I've recently stepped into the role as 5C's instructional coach, and I have been loving that piece of my job as well.
Bill, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Bill Johnson. I am an alumni of AUHSD. I went to Savannah. Now I teach over at Anaheim High School. I teach physics, and I'm also the 5Cs coach.
And Ray.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ray Solorzano, and I am a teacher over here at Cambridge Virtual Academy, also a proud product of the AUHSD School District, graduate of Western High School. I have been involved with the tech coach group here at AUHSD since its inception, and I also spend my time in the summers as a summer internship coordinator, helping students experience industry for the first time, some for the first time.
Yes, an amazing trio of leaders in our district and beyond. And when I say that, you all three presented at the recent AI K-12 Deeper Learning Summit here in Anaheim. And the purpose of that is to really get teachers out in front of sharing how they support whole child and career preparedness development using amazing AI tools. And I think the country is at a very critical juncture in terms of the use of AI for what purposes. So we're going to have a free-flowing conversation about what you did, what you shared, and why is it important. We'll start with Ray. Why is it important? What were some of the things that you shared?
Thank you, Mike. So, at the AI Summit, it was great just getting to network with a lot of like-minded individuals, many from our own district, in Orange County, but outside as well. And one of the big keys that I shared is that, it came from the book Teaching with AI. And the idea is that it's a job of educators to help students become better thinkers. And now it's our job to help them become even better thinkers with AI. And one of the things that I'll highlight, just from the jump is that AI is not perfect. In fact, it is far from perfect, right? But Alex Cotran is one of our thought partners here in our district. And, I was lucky enough to hear him speak and really, give the ideas that AI needs to exist, not just in your math, in your CTE or computer science classes, but we really need to remember to bring the humanities into artificial intelligence as well. And so I think it's vitally important that I know, Bill's a physics teacher, Taylor's an English teacher, myself a history teacher, and I think it's really important to remember that we allow students, to wrestle with some of the ethics around AI. And so even today, I was with my 7th graders. I told them, of course, to sell them on, hey, I'm helping you guys cheat better, and they couldn't believe that I'm walking them through how to use this chatbot to teach them about harmful algae blooms because I'm working with the science teacher. I don't even know what those things are, right? Until today. But then to get them to focus that, hey, listen, what we're really asking you to do is kind of shifting the cognitive load of that assignment from, hey, the research being, days or weeks of time in class to now it's 1 hour. But then you should have seen their eyes when I told them, and now you're going to develop a pitch for a new product to combat this issue. And the next week, you're going to make a 1 to 3 minute documentary, right, recording this issue. So really just shifting the cognitive load in our classroom and how AI can help us make those shifts.
Thank you, Ray. Yeah. Go ahead, Bill. Were you going to chime in?
Well, I was just going to piggyback off Ray's comments. So I presented with Ray last year at the AI conference, and we really were talking about the human intelligence aspect of AI. And this year, when I presented with Mandy Johnson, an English teacher at Anaheim and CVA, we also really kind of leaned into those authentic uses as humans, and I think that is kind of where it comes down to. I think a lot of what I learned at this AI conference this year was about, keeping that human element in AI. I think when a new tool comes out, our first response is to just see oh, what can I use it for? But I think the deepest AI learning that we're going to get, the deepest uses that we're going to get, is when it's really helping us with an authentic task that we truly do in our lives, or in our teaching or our career, whatever it happens to be, and then using that to enhance that task far beyond just as a time management tool, but as almost like a new way to think. And so
What
that
would
was
be an example, Bill, of an authentic task?
So I think there's I've really been thinking a lot about I went to one session that was done by a superintendent. He was from a smaller district. I think the district was about as big as my school, but he had some really cool ideas about how to use it in terms of prepping. So for instance, imagine a situation where you're an admin or you're a teacher and you're going to have a tough conversation, maybe with a colleague, right? As an instructional coach, I'm going to have a challenging conversation. Using that AI, right? Turning on the voice to voice input method where I'm actually speaking to the AI. And I tell them beforehand, this is what this conversation is going to be about, right? These are all the things that my background information, everything I want to convey. And I need you to act as whatever role it is, a colleague who is resistant to change, a teacher that I'm going to observe, right? A student who I've had a conflict with. And can you role play that out with me in order to kind of think about all the things that might come up in that conversation. And then the piece is not just the role playing, because we all do role playing in different roles. It's that analysis after, saying, okay, these were my goals, A, B, and C. How did I do on those, and what can I do to improve?
Taylor, what does this mean as a humanities teacher? Ray alluded to the fact that we need to approach this through a humanities lens in terms of what does it mean to be human?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I think the thing that stood out to me, and I went to Bill and Mandy's session at the AI conference, and I really enjoyed it, specifically when you had us think about, okay, we're all educators in the room, right? What are the parts of our job that we love? And every response in the room was always doing this with my students, seeing my students do this, talking with my students, connecting with my students. And almost every response was about students, right? Actually seeing what they can do. And then the other question was, okay, what are the not so lovable parts about the job? And that's the, filling out the paperwork, doing my training videos at the beginning of the year, having to respond to the 50 emails that come into my inbox, having to read the emails, and making the information digestible. So none of that ever had anything to do with actually connecting with students. So I think as educators, the more that we use or we learn how to efficiently use AI to speed those tasks up, I'm not going to say that they're going to be able to do everything for us, but they might be able to condense the amount of time that we take doing those tasks so that we can actually be humans in the room. I think that's where that comes in as educators. And then flipped, how is it going to help our students see the humanization ability of it? We have students who really, really struggle to take their ideas, even though they have amazing ideas, and verbalize them or write them down or present them in some sort of way. And we're seeing AI tools within our own LMS systems helping make that happen. So I think if the heart of our goals is to be using AI to make us better people, we're going to keep going in the right direction, enhancing the goodness that we already are.
Could you put to rest, Ray's, jokingly say, I'm going to help you cheat better, but there are a number of teachers who are resistant to even, and a lot of them are English teachers, right? That this is going to just create a lot of, affirm cheating, right? So what is the response to that, Taylor, as an English teacher that you have?
It all comes back to, how do you define cheating, right? Is cheating, I assign you this essay and you use AI to write the whole thing and you submit it and you pretend that you were the one who wrote it without AI? That's dishonesty to me, right? So in a way, I might equal, like, dishonesty to me is what equals cheating. But if I give you a task and you use AI and you are honest with me about why you used AI, how you used AI, did you make any changes to the paper? Because that there, if you have AI crank out a paper, but you're actively making changes because you know the way it needs to sound for it to meet the purpose, that's the skill that I want you to know, right? That's the critical thinking that goes into writing. And to me, that's not cheating. That's using a tool that will help you produce a better product, and you are understanding how that tool works. But if I, as an instructor, neglect to actually acknowledge the tool in the room and find ways to teach with the tool in the room, then I'm neglecting those students who are going to go on to figure out how to use these tools in their own way, and most likely not as effectively without having that professional guide mentor in the room to show them how to not use it as cheating, but to use it as enhancing their learning.
So, Ray, there are no easy answers here, right? In terms of a clear path forward for AI. And there are a lot of districts that are still deer in the headlights and not moving with AI integration. What would you say to them as a, as a parent and as a teacher? What is your response to those folks that are not at least trying to get their heads wrapped around this?
So I think there's a lot, wrapped up into that question. I think it's partially about understanding what is the role or the purpose of education, and I think we all would have slightly different variations of what the answer to that question is. But for me, it's like I want to get my students ready to face that next stage in their life, whatever it might be, whether it's college, career, military, you fill in the blank. And so one of the quotes, and I'm going to quote Reid Hoffman from his book Super Agency, and this is part of my presentation, was, "You'll never get the future you want by prohibiting the future you don't want." And the idea is that, yes, right, like the human fear that we are handing over some of our agency to this machine learning, these computers, right? And over time, some of these skills might atrophy. Yes, my answer to that is yes, you are correct. Now what, right? What do we do with that? Because one of the things that I also, try to convey in my presentation was that, I alone don't get to make the decisions about artificial intelligence. There are these mega corporations around the world that are pouring billions of dollars into the development of these tools. And so for me, much like Taylor said, right, if we just ignore the tool in the room or try to ban the use of the tool in the room, then I feel that I'm not doing enough for my students to help them be competitive in whatever that next stage may be. One of the things that I want to emphasize there as well is that I want to allow my students to have the option to decide what they want to do with this knowledge. Maybe they want to, burn the whole system down. Great, but I want to burn the system down from within. You're my boss, so hello. But I really want to make sure that my students have the tools and the knowledge and the know-how to ultimately get to make that choice for themselves, their parents, right, their family, the people that they value, what their values are. And I think that's an important thing too. As much as it's understanding what your school's values are, right, what your North Star is, I want to make sure my students know what their North Star is as well. So there's a lot of work that needs to go into helping the students with their own reflection so they can better use the tools down the road.
So you pointed out that we are using the tool for enhancing or capturing student reflections based on the performance task assessment, based on the project-based learning. Bill, why do you think that that's important, that we gather the student reflections for the teachers, that's kind of the next step here. We ultimately want the students to appreciate their own reflections, and because we're using AI to help synthesize that. But why is that important? And why is that an important piece of data for teachers? And what can they learn from that?
Yeah, so I think that, and I'm my wife says this all the time. She says and I believe she's quoting Kelly Gallagher, to be honest, but she always says you have to assign more writing than, like, students need to write more than teachers can grade, and when we talk about authentic uses of AI, that's one of them. Is like, I'm one teacher, I can't read everything that my students need to do if I really want to give them the practice that they need to accomplish, right? And so something like the reflections, when we have students reflect on the 5 C's, when we have a tool that can look at the documents that we've created in terms of the strands of the 5 C's, look at that piece of writing and pull out the things that it can see matches what we say that we value. That's a piece of information that can help inform the teacher's instruction, over time. And it's a piece of data that they can now see on individual students, right? And our current tool, it has an AI analysis. You can also look at the reflection yourself. It also gives insights into, what are some possible adjustments to instruction, right? Based off those insights, that's information that the teacher can then use to drive their next piece of instruction, right? And ultimately, we get historical data, right? Imagine a system, every school in our district has the capstone. Imagine a system where a kid can look at his reflections, how he reflected on projects in 7th grade when he was, 12 years old, right? 11, 12 years old, something like that. And now here he is an adult, right on the edge of like graduating in the real world, and see that growth in whatever C or strand that he's kind of been tracking throughout his high school years. That's amazing, an amazing piece of data.
Wow. Taylor, Ray, anything to add to that in terms of the teachers using this reflection to improve their practice, or the students growing from that reflection? Anything to add?
Yes, absolutely. I was actually just talking to a colleague of all of ours, Tyler Sherman, about this. We recently did a deep dive into the UCI reflection tool, our 5C's reflection tool. And when I was looking at my own students, I noticed that they were doing a lot of reflecting and critical thinking. Like, these students were reflecting and critical thinking every chance that they got, because those were the skills that their other teachers, I have freshmen, so it's their first year in high school. So their other 9th grade teachers had been having them reflect on through their performance task assessments. And that made me look at my next performance task assessment, which I normally would have wanted my students to reflect on critical thinking, because to me, that kind of matched what we were doing the most. But because I knew in my mind that my students already did a ton of reflecting on critical thinking, I actually refined my performance task assessment, the one that I designed for my students. I refined it so that we were covering a little bit more on creativity, still critical thinking, but I emphasized the creativity element, because I was able to see that that was a skill that my students did not have a lot of opportunity to reflect on. So for the teacher, I 100% agree with you, Bill, that this is something that really has the ability to inform instruction. And like your idea of a student being able to see their history from 7th grade to 12th grade, imagine the teacher looking at that same history from 7th grade to 12th grade and being able to look at what experiences in their 6 years helped them to grow the most. And then I can look at that and be like, oh, wow, that experience really helped that student grow in XYZ skills. I'm now going to apply that to my instruction because I see that that works. There's so many possibilities of how we can use this tool to, again, better ourselves.
Ray, how do you think that we're going to get students to really understand the power of this reflective cycle that we're starting in 7th grade? And what Taylor just described, as an exiting 12th grader, our hope is that they're going to be more self-actualized as they grow into adulthood. How do we get them there?
So I think one of the things with AI is, the AI is always evolving, rapidly evolving. And one of the things where AI could really help is becoming more personalized for the student. And so again, I'm going to quote another person I respect a lot, and that's Dalal. He's our OCDE AI admin. And one of the things that he says is that AI is going to be the first tool where it doesn't matter how much you know about the tool. It matters how much the tool knows about you. And so getting the students to be able to really reflect and use AI to say, these are my wants, these are my needs, this is, my difficulty right now, this is my learning gap. And then the AI could be more kind of self-directed. And the more, I mean, it's good data in, good data out, right? So the more data eventually these artificial intelligence, will know about a student, it really will help them kind of be able to take advantage of more opportunities. I would love to see it. I think we all, are in these different programs that we mentioned earlier. And one of the hardest things is recruiting the right student, right? I'm sure you've heard, commercials, get the right candidate, just pay this much money and it'll happen. But imagine, AUHSD, having the ability to really use the data, the reflection tools to say, hey, this opportunity would be a great match for you. Think about signing up for the Girls in Engineering Day for, maybe an introverted eighth grader. I have a perfect example, and actually and I was just listening to her capstone presentation, that she would be great for, this engineering. I happen to be lucky because I was, helping her build her pitch for her capstone presentation. But that's just, it's by luck. And so what if we actually had the data and the ability to not just do that by luck, right? But really use it to connect students with the opportunities we have.
Yeah, I think that we are on the verge of what Ethan Mollick in his book Co-Intelligence called, really creating these collaborative experiences with AI as a partner, all the feedback pieces that we talked about. And we're trying to get teachers to partner with the AI and potentially partner with the student to collaborate on creating better performance task assessments. Bill, do you want to, we're coming to the last 3 minutes here, but would you like to comment on that and if that you think that's possible in AUHSD?
Oh yeah, definitely. 100% it's possible. Something I've been working on with my students is in my physics class, we have like a custom GPT that's like just for our class, and I load it with information about our class and our content. And there are times where, I say to them, hey, this is like, I want you to go and I call it Thorzik Newton because it's like half Thor, half Isaac Newton. And so I say, go check out Thorzik Newton and have him help you, But what I've noticed is there's times where I don't talk about it, like in an assignment or something, where kids have gone to it to kind of help them already, in that. And so when you talk about, can I get, my kids involved in, co-creating a PTA with me and Thorzik Newton, honestly, I could probably get him to do that tomorrow, Mike. To be honest, we could roll right in and like.
So that's going to be our next future talk, Bill. I'm going to hold you to that because I would like to see that and hear that, and really. I mean, we are on this edge of what he calls the jagged technological frontier. AUHSD is definitely on the edge of that, but it would be wonderful if we can bring the students in. I'd love to challenge you guys on doing that. Any last closing comments, Taylor or Ray? We'll come back to you, Bill, too. A chance to close this off.
Yeah. So the four of us, have been talking about lots of great ways that AI is going to, or has the opportunity to enhance learning, to enhance student achievement, to enhance teacher refining instruction. But I do want to give the disclaimer, AI is capable of doing a lot of things, but if there's not a culture built in the classroom and within staff, if the culture isn't built, that the whole point of this is to improve instruction for students, to give us time to build more relationships with the people on our campus. If that culture isn't in place, then it's like having a hammer, but no wood to build a house, right? So I really, really encourage that anyone listening who wants to start doing this work in your own, at your school site, at your district, in your classroom, just really, really take the time to figure out, okay, hey, what is the culture that I want to set in here? And how do I give AI a seat at that table as opposed to the other way around?
Great. Great.
I love that. Building the trust, right? Trust the teachers that they are going to be able to create some really cool personalized learning opportunities for the students, and make sure, we are engaging the students as much as we possibly can, because ultimately we want to put the control of the learning in the students' hands. And so with that said, much like Taylor mentioned, like I think it's all built around that trust, right? So human-centered, but we all got to trust that in the end, we're doing the right thing for the right reasons. And so let's just see what cool things students can build with this.
And Bill, what's your closing comment?
I think we're in a real exploration phase. I think that's what would be my advice to anyone, teachers, admin, people outside of education. Like, we're at the very beginning, like when the internet first came out and everything was like fresh and new, and we tried some stuff out, and we're gonna probably hit like equivalents of the .com bubbles and all the things on the internet that like are no longer around anymore. But ultimately we're building, right? And things are going to get better and things are going to change. And so just keep an open mind and try stuff out.
Hey, I want to extend it a few minutes because one of the areas we did not address is this growing challenge of deep fakes and fake information out there. This whole concept of the confusion between the red pill and the blue pill, from the Matrix. What really is the truth? What's our role and responsibility in addressing that? Anybody can answer that.
Sure, I'll jump in. Since I've been teaching English for 8 years now, and a big part of teaching the research phase of any kind of extended project is you got to look at your sources, right? And that goes with AI too. Before I have students dive into AI or use AI, we have a conversation about AI biases. We have a conversation about AI hallucinations. I also have a conversation with them of what we talk about the glows and the things that AI is capable of, but then especially in the lens of cybersecurity, which is the pathway I teach in, is that AI is also capable of speeding up these not so great things. And so there are always things to be cautious of, just like you would have been cautious without these GPT tools. You got to be almost as more cautious because now they can just speed up the rate at which disinformation is put out there.
And it's very emotional. It seems like it's amplifying fear, and it's amplifying fear of the other.
Absolutely.
So anybody else want to comment on that, Ray or Bill, before we close out once and for all?
Go ahead, Bill.
So Taylor and I were just looking today at the new California standards for the teaching profession, and ethics in AI is like explicitly called out. So like, to answer your question, yes, we all are responsible for that in our classrooms.
Yes, thank you for that. And Ray?
Yeah, pick your favorite framework. I know Ditch the Textbook has some good stuff. The ACEs protocol, I believe it's called, and it's awareness, right? And so understanding how AI systems work, evaluating the output, critiquing the output. There's so much that you can do with the students. In my as quick as I can, 10th grade honors class, getting students ready to sign up for APUSH next year. I wanted to prove to them that that AI is an average writer, and so I sent it to an AP teacher, had them grade the essay that was outputted. They got a 3 out of 7. And so, hey, students, why did it get a 3 out of 7? This isn't a real source, right? Getting students to understand that AI is not perfect, right, is really vitally important, because for good reasons, right? Students are just going to throw that output out as if that is factual information. So I think it's the role of the teacher to teach them this is not the greatest. You can still use your human advantage, right, to improve this piece.
Wow. We can go on, and I'm sure we will on part 2 with our students side by side, and maybe we'll have Scrappy join us as well. Hey, it's been a real kick, you guys. Thank you so much. And on behalf of our 25,000 students and their futures. Thank you very much, and we look forward to hearing from you next time.